I'm Joe Schmidt, and I've been a Christian since '98, and I come from Browncroft Community Church. And one of the things that, through the whole entire COVID thing, service was way down, and I found myself sitting on the couch a lot and not really engaged. I would pray to God about where am I supposed to go. And like all guys, I got really comfortable, but I also thought I'd have to go someplace that's going to have a gigantic impact. I need to make a gigantic impact somewhere. And that really isn't how any service opportunity starts out. Every service opportunity starts out with a humble heart and a small action. And it wasn't really until I started coming to the Fatherhood Initiatives here, I started learning a little bit more about the opportunities that were here in the city to mentor young men. And I think that I was still sitting on the bench a lot, and I was still trying to figure out where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? Where are you calling me, God? And it really wasn't until I was like, all right, I'm coming. That's it, I'm coming. And I showed up here and I saw a guy who had a great rapport with the kids. He knew them, they respected him. When he asked them to do something, they ran over and did it. I was like, what? I've never seen this before, right? And it made me want to understand more. But I also saw a guy that was trying to coach 30 kids, right? And all the trouble in trying to mentor one or two of them really well. I mean, he's trying to mentor 6 or 7. And, what an overwhelming job that was for just the one man. And I thought, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. And that's how my journey started here on Friday nights at Youth for Christ.
Okay. To me, it's really interesting because it benefits those that I serve, but I always tell them, you know what? It does more for me than it does for you and stuff like that. And then I get so much out of it coming here and being there for the kids. I just really enjoy it. I know nothing about basketball other than that you're trying to put in the hoop. It's been a great experience. The kids are just absolutely wonderful here. The kids are just great with each other. They get a little competitive once in a while, but it's really fun. And to have them come up to you, they know you now. Like you said, you wanted us to come every week and be committed to it and stuff and be consistent because they depend on you being there. And that's basically sometimes that's all I do is show up. And I keep stats when we keep stats, but cheering the kids on and shaking their hands and interacting with them and stuff like that. For the most part, that's really, to me, what it is and stuff is, I was in sports and stuff when I was a kid, but my dad never went to any of my games. He never went to any of my scout meetings. And I made up my mind that that's not going to be the same for my kids. So I really enjoy it. And learned a little bit about basketball, but still not too much.
But it's not about the basketball.
Right. Well, and it's about us too. It's the camaraderie between the other volunteers.
Coaches already developed inroads with all these kids and their families. The one thing you want to do is give them as much time as you can to continue to do that too. When I first came in here on a Friday night, I found that here's a coach that has a heart for these kids, and he is really busting his back end for these kids, right? And I thought to myself, well, God, you're going to have to show me, because I kind of think maybe I should be ministering to Coach more than I should be ministering to these kids and trying to help him out. So when he's like, hey, I need help washing the jerseys, okay, I'll take all the jerseys. Where do you want me to drop them off? Where do you want me to pick them up? That's really helpful to him too. So it's not just what we pour into the kids on a Friday night. It's really how we're supporting Coach too.
The kids are just absolutely wonderful here. We had a couple challenging kids the first couple weeks that I was here. I was thinking, is this the thing? And then we got rid of that problem, and it's just been wonderful.
And a kid always has a way back.
Always. Yeah, yep. Absolutely. Yep. And I don't look at even the kids that are the most, that give us the hardest time as being, I look at them as these are opportunities for us to pour into them a little bit. It also gives us a little bit of time to get to know the kids a little bit better. So LaDavion and Malachi, and just watch some of the growth in some of these kids. Watch like kids that have like anger management issues when they come walking into the gym. They can totally change.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
that's the thing.
Malachi was one of the troubled kids when you guys got here.
Exactly, but you know, he's one of the kids that's practicing upstairs now. And so I ref. And if I'm all by myself on the floor, I'm gonna miss something, right?
Yeah.
And he would always tell me how much I missed and how bad I was, and now that doesn't happen anymore. So I guess that's growth.
No, you got better.
I'm catching them all.
When you have 6 men around and you have a strict code of conduct that's actually being implemented, and you're, you know what I say, we're playing church ball, not street ball. So there's no bad language, or you sit. You don't argue with the ref, or you sit.
You're typical.
But one of the most amazing things in that Christ culture, those younger kids get discipled versus getting ignored or getting jammed on.
Yeah, you're talking about Aiden and Bryce, and the fact that these 2 younger guys have come in every Friday and they're playing against guys at a higher level, and they're still sticking it out. They're still hustling down the court. They're still trying to get to the positions. They may not know everything, but they're trying. And that's another big thing that I see in the program as well. One of the things that's also big with the kids too is that I think when we started coming up as coaches and there was more of us on the floor on Friday night, kind of working that, a lot of the things, it became, you know, kind of like, get out of my way, to listen, this is why I want you here. And the kids were coaching the kids. So the older kids were like, this is why I need you in this position, and this is why I need you in that position. So again, that was something that was really big, because before it was like, oh, I got another little kid on my team and I just need you out of the way so I can score. But now it's like, this is why I need you here.
There's an opportunity to coach a kid, to become a coach.
Yeah. Well, because they also see the opportunity that they're going to be more competitive on the court as well.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we talked about when we had a meeting, 2 weeks ago now, I think it was, about like, what do we want to see? Where do we want to see this go? And to me, it's more that multiplying type of a thing. Is like, we teach these kids, then these kids, when they get up to the level, then they start programs or they do things also. And maybe they have they coach a basketball team, or they run a little camp type of a thing or something like that, and that they have an outreach and it grows and gets bigger and bigger. So to me, coming here too and feeling that love and we all get along and we're all one has really helped me grow from that perspective too, because again, I live in a community where there isn't a lot of diversity, like where I'm exposed to it.
I've always had a diverse group of kids around me, so for me it was more the generational issue. I'm middle 50s guy, right? And this new generation coming up, there's big differences between the way I was raised and the way they were raised, and their perception of life situations and my perception of life situations. And it's not really so much about the diversity. It's like, how can I interact better? And then how can I mentor and teach through some of these situations? Sometimes I think I'm talking like one language, they're talking a whole different language, and it's like, I have no idea. Even when I'm trying to text with them, like there's some acronyms that they throw on those phones that I look down and I go, I don't know what that is.
What language is that?
So I end up going to my son and I go, what does this mean? So in the circle, before we even start, we do have a time of like an inspirational talk. So sometimes coaches going through the 7 habits of successful people. So we go through those, or we'll have a Bible story, or we'll have a guest come in and talk just about where they are in, sometimes it's politics, sometimes it's the chief of police, like you said, or, sometimes we'll have a guest come in. We always have prayer. We always have an inspirational message. Also, sometimes in the circle too, there are things like, and Millie got on the high honor roll, right?
Recognition.
And recognition. So recognition for stuff that's outside of the basketball, you know. So we'll have that inside the circle too. And I think I mentioned prayer, but if I didn't, prayer.
Yeah, the one thing that I like that we've started doing recently is that coaches pulling in and having the kids do the prayer.
Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day. I pray that nobody gets injured. I pray for Howie. I hope you feel better and get well soon. This prayer I pray, this blessing I ask. In Jesus' holy name, amen.
Sometimes the younger ones and stuff, and encouraging them, they get out there and they get comfortable being around people and stuff instead of being really shy. And you're starting to notice a little bit more where they're speaking up so that you can actually hear them now instead of which is really nice too and stuff. And you can see that the growth, because to me those are the types of skills that when you go out into the real world, it's really important. And we do stress a lot that it's more than the basketball and stuff like that. The things that you learn here in sports, you will take to work, you'll take to teams, you'll take college classes when you're working on a team. It's really cool to see the guys celebrate each other. Philly graduated and went to college, and we went to see him play football. Yeah. Now, it was great and stuff. I expected us guys to go because we were like, hey, we got to go see Philly play football. Well, I get there, and a couple of kids came too, and I was like, that's exactly what I'm hoping for and stuff, is that these kids start to show the support for each other too, and it extends out further and further and further, because that's how they come in, is that they reach out and they treat each other that way, and they learn by example.
How important is consistency?
I think it's really important. I mean, to me, it has made a difference. And I know you stressed it when I came and visited. The first time you said, well, check it out for a few weeks and see what you think and stuff like that. And I was just like, you know what? I can commit to this and stuff. And to me, it's consistency for me. It becomes a habit. And I think it's really important for them too, that they get to know us and they know who's going to be there.
I do think that on those nights when, if somebody can't make it or you're out of town and stuff like that, we as a leadership crew know, okay, well, that was Joe's role. I got to step in and do that tonight because Joe's not going to be there. Or,
No, nobody will ref.
Well, well, they're waiting for Mike to come.
I'm their least favorite.
If you want to get any kind of benefit from being around kids like this, or any kind of benefit from being around the coaching and the coaching staff, if you want to get any kind of benefit from that, that only comes out of consistency on your part.
And again, it's more like when you aren't there to let them know, because I mean, I grew up like when you expect dad to be there and dad didn't show, and you thought he was going to be there and stuff, and that hurts a lot more. So letting them know when you're not going to be there so that they don't expect you to be there, I think is really important. And we're really good about doing that and making sure that
So that's what I've learned, is watching you guys and watching you interact with the kids is that, you know, we talk about, you know, bring a father's heart, give recognition, give encouragement, be authentic, and be consistent. I think you can get the other three wrong for most of the time and be consistent and still win that kid over.
Right.
Because the one thing he hasn't had in his life is a consistent man in his life. Somebody that's there when he says he's going to be there.
One of the things that you touched on is the change and the growth that only can come through Jesus Christ, right? And it's him that does the changing. We just need to be the vessels of his message and that change. I was the same way. I had anger management problems. I was in fights all the time, and that was even into my, 20s. I told you we were on the rugby field, and some guy ticked me off, and I broke his nose right on the field. And really, it wasn't until I found Jesus Christ, the rugby became over, and all that stuff changed. It's through the lens and the focus and the message of Jesus Christ that life actually changes. It changed for me. It changed the trajectory of my life. And I went from being a very angry man to somebody that was actually pliable and usable for God's, the promotion of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Amen. And that's what we're trying to do here. That's what we're trying to help them understand, that, listen, you're not going to do this on your own. I can come up with the greatest philosophy ever, but it's never going to fix you because it's going to be flawed, because it's a man's philosophy. There is the Bible that has Jesus, it has God's actual word in it and how we're to live. And that's the only way that you're going to change. It doesn't say in the Bible that your life situation is going to change, but how you handle those situations, that's going to be the change. And that's going to be the one that's the thing that keeps you productive. That's the thing that's going to keep you moving forward. That's the thing that's going to make you the change maker in your neighborhood. That's going to be the biggest influence. How do we make the most of the opportunity that we have through the basketball that we have to get Jesus' message into their hearts? Because that's when the change is going to come.
And I think sharing some of those stories with them actually might be helpful too, is that it's not like we were always here. It's like we were also in the other direction too. It's like, I mean, I went through drug and alcohol rehab when I was 23 and had tried to commit suicide, and I found Jesus right after that. And I'm here today and stuff because of what happened to me at that point. So those are types of stories that I think might help those kids too, is to say, hey, we haven't always been like this.
Yeah.
He made us this way.
Yeah.
He converted us and turned us into better people.
I think the issue is, like, you have a lot of guys that are sitting on the bench, and I don't understand what happened between a guy when he was a kid and wanted to play all the time to a guy that wanted to just sit on the bench, right? Like, how did you become, so I was asking myself that question.
Yeah.
How did I go from a guy that wants to be in the mix all the time to a guy that really wants to sit on the bench and just watch it go by? Like, that was my issue. That was my problem.
The answer is just get off the bench.
It's get off the bench, right? You're never, so a lot of life, you're never gonna understand how to handle a situation until you go through the situation. So if you're sitting here thinking, well, you know, would Youth for Christ be a great fit for me? Well, show up. You know, it only took one time. It only took one time to realize, oh my God, this is where I'm supposed to be, right? It only took one time. There's guys out there, and we're looking for guys too, because we want to grow the program. The more volunteers that do come, the more kids we're able to bring in, the more time we can spend with them, the more skills and drills
they
and
need more
training.
nights in here. They
Yeah.
need more nights off these streets.
We do.
We got 3 nights now. We need 4 and 5 nights. We need to provide more opportunities.
Yeah,
for
and I think, I mean, like you did to me and stuff, is like, commit to 3 times. Come 3 times. I mean, come 2 or 3 times and stuff. Just try it out, check it out and stuff. But commit. Don't come next week and then skip a week or anything like that. If you come 3 times, if you can commit to 3 nights, come 3 nights. And then decide. Don't come once and decide, but come 3 times, commit to 3 times. And I think when you get here and stuff, you will realize very, very quickly and stuff, which is what I did and stuff. I wanted to keep coming back. To me, that's what it made a big difference. If I'd have just come once and then skipped the next time, I might not have come back again the next time. Yeah. Because as soon as I didn't make it a consistent, as soon as you said, you need to be consistent, I said, okay, I'm going to commit to being consistent. And even if I'm just trying it out, I'm going to be consistent for a few times. And once I was consistent for a few times, it became so easy to be consistent for more, because the kids are just great kids.